Okay, so now what we want to do is create a series of pivot tables that compare data between different product or different customers and so forth, and show what percentage each product contributes to the group or contributes to the overall sales. All right, and it's a pretty easy thing to do. We've got a number of built-in divisionary type calculations that will allow us to create this pretty easily. So we'll go ahead and we'll create a new pivot table here. So we'll do insert, pivot table, hit OK. And then in this case, what we'll do is we'll bring in the parent company. We'll start out with that. So we'll take the parent company here, put it down in the rows area, and then bring in the company field and put that directly underneath. So we got a nice little breakdown there. Then we'll go ahead and bring in the total sale, which will be the revenue. Bring that into our summary area there. And that's our start. So now what I want to do is I want to figure out what percentage each one of these company totals, what percentage are they to the parent or to the parent company subtotal here. So in essence, all of these numbers here add up to what you see here. Okay, but I want to know what percentage each one of those is to that, to try to get an idea, of what is the biggest, what's the smallest, and all that. Because if you just look at a blob of numbers, it's maybe kind of hard to see that. And in any event, though, I still want to be able to know what percentage they contribute. That's really the key here. So what we'll do is we'll bring in the total sale again. So I'll bring that in. And on this one then, we're going to do a double click on the field heading. We're going to go over here where it says show values as. And in this little drop down, we're going to pick percentage of parent row total. So what percentage are each of these numbers to that parent row total, right? So we go ahead and click onto that, hit OK, and there we go. Pretty quick, pretty easy. I mean, it's an easy calculation to do in regular Excel, but you can't put your own stuff in to these columns. So you have to go ahead and use their preset, calculation button there. But it's easy to do. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to bring in that total sale again. Let's kind of drag it down here and put it underneath the two that we've got. And I want to make this one show me what percentage are each of these numbers to the grand total down here at the very bottom. So this number here, I want to know what percentage each one of those numbers is to that. All right, so again, it's going to be another divisionary calculation. So instead of it, in this case, taking this number divided by that, we're going to be taking each of these numbers here and dividing it by the total at the very bottom of that column. So we'll double click here, go back to show values as, and in the drop down, what we want to go with is the percentage of column total. So we click onto that, hit OK, and there we go. So in essence, what we have here is B's Beverages is 16% of the sales for all of the Brigadoon, parent company. All right, it's 16% of all of these, right? Whereas now this one is going to show that Antonio Moreno here is almost 0.1%, or like 1/10. Well, actually, I should say it's almost 1% of the total sales. All right, so that number there, okay, is about 1% of the total that you see down here. All right, very good. And you can see too at the bottom here that that both of those percentage columns all add up to 100%, which they should, in essence. All right. Now, before we go any further, we're going to go ahead and rename the labels at the top here and format the numbers over here. So we'll start out with this one here. I'll just double click it. We're going to call this one revenue. And then the formatting, we'll do that. We'll make it just number formatting. You've probably noticed that, you know, when it comes to formatting the numbers, I really am avoiding using currency. I'm figuring that's a given. I think that most people will look at the data, would know that that would be dollars or what have you. I just don't like the currency label. I don't like the little dollar symbol because it's just a little too distracting from the data. So you know, feel free to use it yourselves, but I've just kind of avoided it myself. Anyway, so comma separator, 0 decimal places, hit OK a few times there. There we go. That looks pretty good. If for some reason you wanted to change the number of decimal places on these while we're renaming it, you can do that too. So let's just say on this one here, we'll double click this one, and this is going to be maybe the revenue parent percentage, we'll call it that. And maybe in the number format, we're going to go with percentage. It already is percentage, but we'll go percentage. But instead of having 2 decimal places, we just want, well, I don't know, maybe 1. We can leave it at 1 here. Hit OK a few times. There you go on that one. All right, now on this next one here, I'll double click that one. We'll call this one maybe REV, and this would be maybe the total, and then maybe percentage, something like that, all right? And again, we'll go down to the number formatting. We'll go with the percentage. We'll make it 1 decimal. Hit OK a couple times there, and there we go. So kind of keeps it nice and tight. Still keeps it readable. I mean, you can still get a good idea what's going on there. All right, so now I would like to do the same thing with profit as I did here with revenue. All right. Now, we don't have the profit field in here, even though we had created it for many videos so far. It's a brand new database, so it's not in here. So what we're going to do is create a calculated field that gives us our profit, and then we can do the same type of calculations for that. We'll just put it side by side over here. I mean, you can either do that or create a whole new pivot table, having this duplicated and then having these 3 columns having to do with the profit. But we're just going to share this and just put the 3 columns right next to them. We could maybe change the color or something like that to make it stand out and keep it separated. So we'll start out with going over to Analyze, hit the Fields and Items here, Calculate Field, all right? And at the top here, we'll maybe just call it PR for now. And then down in the formula area, and you probably you'll know this in your sleep even if you've watched all the videos so far. We're going to go ahead and take the total sale, double click it, minus, and then the total cost, right? And then hit OK on that, and there it goes. And then we can go back to here, and we can call this one profit. All right, now it's already formatted, so I don't have to worry about that. There we go. All right, so now we have that PR field in there. We can now use that to do the other 2 columns that we had before. And I'm going to pull this up a little bit so I can see this a little bit better. Actually, I think what I'll do is I'll detach this, kind of put up towards the top there. All right, so now we've got the profit in there. Now we're going to bring profit in again. So I'll drag the PR field here down into profit. That gives me a second one there. Now this is going to be what percentage are each of these to the parent, subtotal, right? So we'll double click onto here. We're going to call this one maybe PR, PRF. Oh, make lowercase here. So PRF. Percentage, all right? And then down here in the show values as, we'll click onto that, hit the no calculation area there, and we'll find the one that we want, which is the percentage of parent row total. We'll click onto that. We'll hit OK. And there we go. And again, if we double click it, go back to the number format, go to our percentage, give it 1 decimal place, hit OK, and there we go. Now we'll bring in the profit one more time at the very bottom here. We'll go ahead and now this time around we want to do this one where we're comparing each of the numbers to the total of the column, right? So we'll double click this. Maybe we'll call this one, maybe, I don't know, I'll call it maybe PT percentage. All right, and then we'll go ahead and hit our show values as, and this time we're going to find the percentage of column total. And while we're here, let's just go down to the number format, leave it as percentage, but make it 1 decimal place, hit OK, and boom, it's all done. Now once we've done all that, we can do a little formatting to this, so we can click anywhere in here. I'm going to put the panel back over here again. Pull that over. All right. So now I'm going to go back into design, and I'm going to tell it that I want to go with the formatting. Let's see here. We're going to go with the medium, and I think maybe something like the green one here. Oh, that's not too bad. Let me see different ones here. Maybe that green one there. Now, I think what we'll do, maybe pick that one there. Now, maybe even the, I think the third one here. We'll do this one here. So we can do that one there. We can also then do the banded rows on it, kind of give it kind of an every other kind of color there. Now, the reason why I'm doing all that is that I also want to kind of differentiate the two sides here. So maybe on this right side here, with this area right here, I can just go in there and pick, a different color. I can just go over here to home, hit my little bucket there, and find some other color that I can put in there. Maybe if I've got the black and I've got the blue in there, that might not look too bad. Something like that. Whatever's easier for you. It might even be better having a little bit darker blue in there. So maybe go with the something like that. But it's up to you how you want it to look. But that would be my idea of kind of differentiating it up a little bit. We could also go back in there and add some blank rows. So now we got it looking like that. And also on your own, you could also take this column here, go all the way to the bottom here, let's say, right? And take that one and then go over to the Home tab, go to our border, and put a border on the left side of what you selected there, see? So you click onto that, click away from it, and you got a little border action there as well, so you can really see the separation there. This is totally up to you. It's really just a matter of how you want this thing to look, really. Now again, just like in the last video you might have watched, what you're looking at here as far as the numbers go are for all 5 years of our sales. So, the pivot table is based on this thing here. You can see that we've got, a varied number of years of data in here. So it might be good to have a filtering system that would allow us to kind of focus in on a particular year and a quarter, or whatever it happens to be, as well as other fields as well that we can filter on. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to go back into the pivot table, make sure you're on that, and then we're going to go and look for fields here. Now we're going to start out with the order date. Now if I take the order date field and put it into filters just like that, and there it is up there. If I click on that little drop down arrow, again, it's going to give me just a breakdown of every day there. So what I need to do is take that field, drag it into the rows area temporarily. When I do that, it will automatically, in most cases, kind of break down into either weeks or months or whatever that is, right? Now, we'll click onto that, all right? Go back into the Analyze, go to Group Field, and tell it that we want to see, let's just say we want to see the months, the quarters, and the years, all right? And you'll see how that works. So we'll take that, we hit OK, and now we get that breakdown down here, see? So then we'll take the years, put it up into the filters, take the quarters, put that up into the filters, take the order date, and put it up there, see? So this is going to be the years, the quarters, and the months. That's what's really representing. So taking this data now, I can go back in there and say, okay, for the years, I want to click onto there. I want to go with 2023. Hit OK. So now that's the data for 2023. If I want to see the data for the first quarter of 2023, then I can go over here and click on to, let's say, the first quarter, quarter one, hit OK, and now that's the first quarter. So anybody looking at the data would say, oh, okay, what I'm looking at here is 2023, first quarter, all right? I can also clear out the quarter and just make that all. Go to the order date and focus in on just January. So what I'm looking at here is the year 2023, January. That's it. We're looking at January numbers. Go back in there again, hit all, hit OK, goes back to there. Click onto here, click onto all, hit OK. Now I'm looking at all 5 years worth of data. Let's also bring in the territory or the zone. So we're going to bring in, we'll find zone here. We'll bring in zone underneath there, and then we'll bring in country underneath that. All right, so we got quite a few here, so we got about 5. I want to bring in another set here. I want to bring in the rep, use that for the field. So I'll take the rep, put that underneath country. All right, I want to bring in the category, product category, so we'll bring in category underneath all those. All right, bring in the product. Oh, yeah, I guess we'll bring in product, what the heck. So we'll bring in the product name, okay? And then we'll bring in the, so we've got the category and the product name, and then the vendor. So we'll bring in one more here. So there's the vendor, and there goes the very bottom. All right, so quite a few in there. Now, this looks a little odd having all this as one column. We can actually set this up so where it'll split into 2 different columns. Now, watch what we're going to do here. While we're in the data here, we can go back into the Analyze tab here. Go to the drop-down arrow, go to Options, right? And on here, it says the report filter fields per column. In other words, how many of these fields do you want per column, right? And we'll go ahead and we'll set this to be, let's say, maybe 5 per column, all right? So you choose that to be 5, hit OK. Oh, wrong one there. Oh, I hit the wrong thing here. Sorry about that. I misclicked. Okay, I don't want to do that. Bring that down to nothing there. I want this here. So report filter fields per column. We're going to make that 5. All right, hit OK. And there we go. And that looks pretty good. And then you can also just go up here, maybe select those 3, right click it, delete it, kind of pull it up, and there we go. So it's a nice little setup there. If you could think of maybe having another field for filtering, then you can keep it even. It looks pretty nice. Or you might say, you know what, I don't really care about the country. So what I'll do is I'll put I'll take country out of the filters here. This is if you're obsessed with it looking perfect. And then we can go back in again. So we'll go back into Analyze, go back to the pivot table, go to Options, right? And tell it that we want 4 per column. See, so we hit OK on that one. Now they're nice and even. I can go over to here, right-click it, delete, get rid of that extra row. And now it looks pretty good. So now you can filter down to anything you want to see simply by hitting one of the filter buttons and picking what you want to see. So if you wanted to see just the product that came from a particular, or the sales of a particular vendor's product, I can click onto here, hit Alaskan Seafood, hit OK, and now that'll show all of the companies that bought into Alaskan Seafood. And then I can go back in there again, hit all, hit OK, and that clears it out. Now the only other thing left to do here is to see what other combinations of fields would give you things that you'd like to see, and other breakdowns. So right now we've got it set for just the parent company and the company breakdown there, but we can actually take those 2 fields out, all right? And let's say we want to focus in on maybe the rep and the company. So we'll go, let me just pull this down a little bit. All right. And we'll find the rep field. Now the rep we have in our filters, I just noticed. So what we'll do is we'll take the rep, drag that down into the rows area. All right, so there it goes. And then we also want to bring in the company. And so we'll go and find our company field up towards the top here and pull that in, and we'll put the company underneath the rep. So there we go. Nice look there. So we can actually see those percentages, that revenue, profit, and so forth. Looks good. Okay, so now I'll take the rep and I'll just put the rep back up into the filters area there. Take out company, all right, and we're going to bring in now the vendor. So we'll find our vendor field here, and now the vendor looks like it's already in the filter there, so we'll have to find vendor in there. And actually what you can do, you can actually just take vendor here, drag it into rows, and then that will remove it from the filter there as well. So it's a little bit of a shorter way to do that. So we've got that, and maybe you want to bring in the product, right? So we'll take the product name, which is also in the filter area there. Take the product, put that underneath the vendor, and there we go. Doesn't look too bad. So now we've got that breakdown of information. And I noticed just a real minor thing that we might have done a little bit earlier when we were playing around with the columns for the filters. You'll notice how this is not indented any longer. It's kind of lined up with the parent here. Well, we need to do that. I mean, you don't have to do this, but if it kind of bothers you and you want to see that indentation, you need to go back into Analyze, go back to the pivot table options, all right, and just tell it that you want to have it indented by, at least 1 character there. Hit OK, and then that'll pull it over for you there. So just in case that was bothering you, I didn't notice it at first. Again, all these little mistakes that I make along the way, that's very commonplace. You're going to do that yourself. I leave them in the video. I don't start the video over again and kind of ignore the whole thing and fix it. I just assume show you the mistake and show you how to fix it. That gives you a little bit more troubleshooting tools that you have available to fix things up there. So anyway, so there we go on that one. Now, all right, now I'm going to put the vendor back into the filter, take the product name. Actually, we'll keep the product in there. And what I want to bring in is now the category. All right, so I'm going to take the category field right from filters because it's in there, drag it into here and put the category at the top. And now I've got it broken down by category and all that. So that's interesting as well. See, what it really comes down to is that the more fields that you have, the more different combinations you can do, and eventually you're going to find certain combinations of fields that are going to be perfect for what you want to convey, to your audience. By the way, too, if you're when you're doing this and you are looking at your numbers and you're saying, number one, as you look at in this case, we're looking at our different product names. They're pretty much in, I would say, alphabetical order, by their name. But if you would rather reorder, each of your groups based on maybe the revenue, thus having the biggest product as far as revenue goes at the top and the smallest one at the bottom, all you really have to do at any time is just do a right click on any one of the numbers in any one of the groups there for the revenue here. Right click it, go over here to sort, and tell it that you want to go from largest to smallest. And what that will do is it will rearrange all of the product in each of the groups here to where the biggest, most in revenue product will be at the top and the smallest will be at the bottom. Pretty cool. And you can do that for any of these. So if for some reason you wanted to do it for one of the percentages, you can do that too. But I think just the way that I've got the data randomized is when I first put it in, when I put this whole database list together here, a lot of it is just a lot of random information, and it tends to kind of almost even out. So I would say that you could probably do a percentage on any of these and they'd all be pretty much the same as the revenue, because it's a percentage of, right? Okay, so that looks good. Now another combination we can do is maybe bring in the zone and the country. So I'm going to go ahead and take the category, put it back up into my filters area there, take out the product name, all right? And then we're going to bring in the zone, which will be there. Now, okay, the zone, we've got it also in the filter area. So we'll just take the zone, put it down into here, and then we'll bring in the country underneath it. And now you've got that nice breakdown as well. Okay, now we'll take the country and put that back into the filters. And now we want to maybe bring in the company. All right, so we can go ahead and take the company field, drag that down, and there we go on that one. So now we can actually see each of our territories basically, and then the companies that are within there, and then see those same numbers. All right, now we'll pull those back, or put those back into the there, and pull that one out there. And now I want to bring in the rep and the category. That's another nice combination of fields that you can do as well. So we'll take the rep and put that into the rows, all right? And then we'll find the category. That's also going to be it's in our filter, but I'll just kind of do this. There's our category, drag it underneath there. So now we can actually see each of our reps broken down by the categories that they sell into. If you wanted to go one step further, but this will probably make it a little bit too busy, you could also bring in the product, all right? That would be for each of the categories there. So take the product name, put that in there, and you've got something like that. Now that's pretty wild. It's not too busy. It's actually a little bit better than I thought it would turn out to be. But all right, so now I'll take my rep over here, put that up there. Take the category, put that up there, get rid of the product, and now I'm going to bring in the country and the company. All right, so we'll go ahead and we'll find country in here. That's in our filters, but we'll pull it in here. And then we'll bring in the company. And there's our company, just like that. That looks good. Again, you're probably getting tired of looking at all these different combinations. I'm just kind of showing you all the possibilities here. You're going to have the same kind of situation with your data, but like I said, the more fields you can bring in, the better. And then maybe last but not least, we will just add in here the zone. So we'll go back up to the, I think we already did this one to begin with, but we'll just do it for the heck of it. We'll take the zone, put that, and oh yeah, that's what we had before. So that's it. So I think I've run out of combinations here. So again, hopefully you enjoyed the video here. You can start using some of these tools, some of these ideas as far as what to kind of put side by side, you know, for your data, for your calculations. But overall, whatever you do, the best thing is to just do as many different combinations as you can of this stuff and try to figure out which one is going to work best for you. Find a number of different combinations that are going to look good and that you can convey properly to your audience and come up with some good discussion points. So take care. Appreciate you watching the video.